Chapter 1326. An overwhelming terror enveloped Michael, drowning his spirit in endless fear. The ring of fire, which he had been so proud of, seemed to be incapable of saving him. What on earth were these 12 chapters of the Divine Symphony? How were they even capable of taking down the power of a divine weapon? Well, the 12 chapters of the Divine Symphony were an ultimate move that the old dragon had blessed Wilbur with. And to Wilbur, that old dragon ran circles around any other divine force in the universe. Whether it was the Church of Holy Illuminati or the God of Darkness, nothing could hold a candle to the old dragon. If all 12 chapters of the Divine Symphony were to be activated, they would even be able to take down a god. The power of this move was terrifying. And this was the message that the old dragon had sent to Wilbur. Wilbur undoubtedly found the ways of the old dragon despicable, but he had never once doubted its power. It was just a pity that his powers at the Emperor level only allowed him to activate up to the 3rd chapter, and that was the limit. As Michael and Wilbur continued to sink, the power of the Ring of Fire took a huge hit. Michael was starting to feel suffocated, and the overwhelming assault of the seawater eventually made the flames of the Fabric of Torment disappear. An overwhelming pressure bore down on Michael as he fell into deep fear. Then there was that growing sense of loneliness and despair that seemed to hack at his soul, causing him to lose even more spiritual energy. Coupled with the terrifying power of the Funeral of Sky and Sea, this was an attack strong enough to destroy anyone's resolve. Michael was gripped by fear, wanting nothing more than to escape. He tried to raise his spiritual energy with all his might to channel the power of the Ring of Fire so that he could swim upwards. Yet the overwhelming pressure that bore down on him seemed to weigh hundreds of thousands of tons, sinking him down further and further. All Michael could see was the haunting blue of the ocean, trapping him like a murky prison. "This is impossible," Michael roared, channeling all the spiritual energy to draw power from the Ring of Fire. Yet his efforts were futile as the dirge of despair and the dark conflagration of the abyss continued their relentless attack. Coupled with the Funeral of Sky and Sea, this was an attack that far surpassed what Michael's powers were capable of taking on. Wilbur smiled. "Do you still think that the Emperor level isn't much?" Michael's expression flashed with despair and horror. Both men continued to sink. Eventually, the Fabric of Torment crumbled under the pressure as the blade of the rising sun disappeared as well. Michael's figure exploded the very next second, dyeing the seawater around him red. The bloody seawater eventually sank as well, disappearing out of sight as it was displaced with even more seawater. All that remained was the Ring of Fire, continuing to sink down the ocean. Wilbur sneered coldly. He retracted his spiritual energy and the Funeral of Sky and Sea disappeared. Wilbur swooped over, glancing at the Ring of Fire before tossing it into his demiplane. Below him, Gary and Milo looked nothing but terrified. They could hardly believe that Michael had died just like that. Wasn't he at the Super Sanctuary level, and armed with the Ring of Fire from the Church of Holy Illuminati? How had he been taken down so easily? The 8 holy warriors' expressions shifted, and Carl took advantage of this to launch into a merciless attack. One warrior was cut down at the waist by Carl's ice sword, collapsing to the ground in 2 frozen pieces. The remaining 7 holy warriors did not have the spirit to carry on either, retreating at top speed. The Church Militia Knights' bravado took a huge hit at the sight of Michael's death. Just then, Catherine let out a loud cheer. "Glory is of the Church of the Flame Dragon Lord. Take them down!" A red glow fell upon the Flame Dragon Lord Church militia members. The 20,000 believers began to raise the volume of their prayers, the land echoing with their voices. The Flame Dragon Lord Church militia perked up as if they had taken a pill of bravado, swinging their weapons wildly as they massacred the remaining Church Militia Knights. All at once, the tables had turned for the Holy Warriors and Church Militia Knights, forcing them to retreat further. The Scorpion Army and the defense soldiers had also greatly suffered from the Flame Serpent's fireballs. All of this led to a chain reaction.